Come here, Paigey. You gonna come out here with me? Let's see. All right, check, check, check. Can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me? Yep, looks like the volume's running pretty good. All right. How's everybody doing? Today's Wednesday, June 17th, and it's going to be a warmer, more humid day here in the Delaware and the Lehigh Valleys. We'll see temperatures eventually climbing up into the low 80s, low to mid 80s, but more importantly, the humidity is going to be climbing back up too. We'll see the dew points climb eventually into the mid 60s this afternoon and then right around 70 tonight. So it's going to become a little more uncomfortable out there as the day wears on. But all in all, I mean, my gosh, it's still beautiful out here. What I'm going to do, what I talked about yesterday was, what I was going to do here today was focus a little bit on the Chicagoland area. Now, obviously, this has nothing to do with the weather in our neck of the woods, but if you enjoy severe weather, if you enjoy learning, let me rephrase that. If you enjoy, nobody enjoys severe weather, but if you enjoy learning about radar returns and, you know, wind shear and wall clouds and hook echoes and bow echoes, if you enjoy learning that kind of stuff, this is why I was going to go live today here, because this is a really intense feature that we're seeing push through parts of the Chicago television market right now. And you're going to see things on the radar that you don't typically see in the Philadelphia area. I mean, it's rare. It can happen. But when you get out here across the Midwest and the Corn Belt, and you get closer and closer and closer to Tornado Alley, this is where conditions are usually ripe for the kind of severe weather you just don't ever want to see. And this potentially could be one of those events here in the Chicagoland area. They have scaled it a 4. It's a 4 out of 5, a level 4, and what that means is there is the potential here for straight line wind damage of at least 80, winds of at least 80 miles per hour. All right, think about that for a second, because hurricane force winds begin at 74. The range is between 65 and 80 with ice. This is the verbiage coming out of the Storm Prediction Center. The range is 65 to 80 with isolated gusts up to 90 miles per hour. That's straight line. And then the tornado wind speeds are definitely in the EF1 to EF2 range with the potential for wedge. Okay, and those are the nasty EF3s. And you can clearly see, look at the numbers, the little circles there on the upper left as you get closer to Davenport. There's one there, and then you get closer, I believe, that is Cedar Rapids. You see the 70 and the 80 and the 60. Those are reported wind gusts right now from that. I don't know if it's technically a derecho. I know you need a certain amount of mileage for that to travel. The winds need to maintain a certain wind speed throughout that little cluster there for a certain amount of mileage. I'll have to double check and see what the actual criteria is for this, but I don't think it's a derecho yet, but it is well on its way. This is the first piece of energy. There's another piece that's going to be coming through after this. It's that one that is likely going to produce the tornado warnings, although it does appear as if we've got a warning here already. Let me, let's go and let's see what we got going on here. All right, we'll stop that. Let's click on this one right here. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. What's this one here? That's a severe thunderstorm warning. How do we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in different colors? Wow. Okay. So they've tagged this. Yes, honey. Well, I'm doing something real quick. You want to say hi to everybody? Come here. No. You got to say hi to everybody. Come here. Make a quick appearance. for your daddy, please? Come on, my Pagey. Let's just do something real quick for the camera, and then we'll go inside, okay? How's that? Okay, bye-bye then. Come here. All right, so bless you. Oh, my goodness. Bless you again. Come here. Come here, my sweetheart. Come here. Just sit on my lap real quick for a couple minutes. No, the camera's this way. The camera is this way. Watch, look, I'll show you.
Everybody.
No, you gotta say hi to everybody.
Everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Bye,
See, look, there we are, right there, Paigey. Look, say,
everybody.
no, you gotta say hi to everybody.
Bye,
Not
everybody.
bye.
Bye.
Oh my
Bye,
goodness. You, right here, real quick. Say hi. Say happy Wednesday.
Bye.
Say happy Wednesday.
Happy Tuesday.
It's Wednesday.
Happy Tuesday.
We getting pizza for lunch today. We're gonna go see our buddy at Santini's. What do you think?
No, we're not.
Gonna go see Mr. Matt? No, where are we going? Where are we going?
Actually, I do want to go there.
Yeah, I want to go there too. So we're gonna go see our buddy. What was that? All right, I'll be in a couple minutes, okay, honey? Go ahead. Okay, so the reason for the different colors here is they've just labeled this a destructive tag. Some of these thunderstorms will have, like, for example, you see the bottom there where it gives you tornado possible, winds 80 miles per hour, hail at least 1 inch in diameter, and then the damage threat. It labels it as destructive. Okay, so you're going to see considerable tags, you're going to see destructive tags, and there's other tags that they put on these too. You don't see, I mean, think about it, right? If you're watching me from the Philadelphia area, how many times do you see a destructive tag on a severe thunderstorm warning? I can tell you right now, I can probably count on one hand how many times I have, and I've been doing this for 26 years. So again, this is the kind of stuff, this is the kind of weather that, you know, they deal with every summer at some point out here, but we don't really tend to get it in our neck of the woods, which is, you know, fine by me. So that is this line right here. All right, let's see if I can get this off. There it is. All right, so it's saying that these are destructive storms. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be heavily damaged. Expect considerable damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles. Extensive tree damage and power outages are likely. These severe storms will be near, all right, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to know all that because we're not out there right now. But that just, again, you can see what they're dealing with out here. Okay, and then you have this one. Let's go to this one here. Now, this is a considerable tag. You see that on the bottom? Okay, so this is also radar indicated. But look at the wind speeds. Look at the winds. 70 miles per hour. This is straight line. Hail of 1 inch in diameter. Okay, and the considerable tag. This one is not labeled possible tornado. But we will see as there is some rotation. Actually, let's go over to the, let me see if I can find, oh, you know why? Because I'm at the continental U.S. I was going to say, there's no warning, so I won't, when I get a warning, I'll flip it over to velocity so you guys can see the couplet. That's what I really want you guys to see because, again, these are things that, if you ever look at a textbook, all right, a weather textbook, you always see these well-defined hook echoes, these well-defined bow echoes. You look at the velocity mode, and it's all just perfect, right? You don't get that in the Philadelphia area. You know, a lot of times when you see a tornadic cell, it's hard to even really pick it out. I mean, compared to what you deal with out here to the west, a lot of times they're rain-wrapped, and so it's, you know, again, this is all stuff that is just so well defined out here. There's the movement. All right, look at all the wind damage reports out here. Look at this 80. Let's see where this is. Let me see if I can go. Wind damage, magnitude 70 miles per hour. Let's see what this one is. 84. Wow, 84 miles per hour for this one right here. All right, and just to get you guys familiar, the Corn Belt is often referred to this part of the country that you see right now. Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, maybe, where is this? Where are we here? Maybe northern Missouri. Okay, this part of the country. Sometimes they even consider Ohio, at least the western part of Ohio, parts of the Corn Belt. So this is, again, this is the area that's really going to get blasted out there today. And what will eventually happen here, so you don't see it yet, but the main batch this morning is, if you look towards the lower right-hand part of your screen, what we're going to see develop later this afternoon is out here, okay? you're going to see, what you can't see right now is a little tag or a little tail. All right, and that is going to be dropping down like this. As it does so, you're going to see all of these supercells, or in other words, just individual storms. You're going to see these huge storms develop along that tail. That is going to be driving south and east. Okay, and as that drives south and east, this whole area that's getting pounded now is going to get pounded again. Here's a look at the watch. Oh, actually, this is a mesoscale discussion and the tornado watch. Look at the hail. Holy smokes, they're talking. Just curious how big of a hailstone that is. So if you look at the bottom, right, it says hail 2 to 3.5 inches. Let's see how big that is. Let's see, hail size chart. I love Google. All right, so hail. All right, let's see. Just looking this up right now. All right, 2.5, so 2 to 3.5. 2 inches is the size of a hen egg. 2.5 is the size of a tennis ball. So imagine tennis balls falling from the clouds as you're driving around. 2 3/4 is a baseball. 4 is a softball. All right, so we're not at 4, but we're at 3.5. So we're at 2 to 3.5. So they're expecting pretty much baseball size and tennis ball size hailstones out here. Unbelievable. Watch has already gone up. They're talking about the possibility of a tornado with the size magnitude of an EF4, winds of 170 miles per hour. Wow, I just saw that in straight line winds 65 to 80 miles per hour. I mean, this is just incredible, the weather that they're getting out there. I mean, the good news is this is not a heavily populated area. Sure, there's a lot of people out there in Peoria and Springfield and Champaign, but look at all the real estate in between. All right, there's a lot of open fields. There's a lot of farmland. It's country out here. Thankfully, this thing is not moving into the Chicagoland area. Oh my gosh, that is just some really, really violent stuff. You know what, let's go into the Chicago area. So right now the main event is off to the southwest by about, let's see, is this the, downtown Chicago's here. Let's see, what do we got, about a radius of 100 and, so we're going about 110 miles off to the southwest. Okay, so that's good. It's nowhere near, the worst of it is nowhere near the downtown Chicago area. But again, Peoria, Champaign, Lafayette, I think Purdue is out there in Lafayette, right? That's another area that's going to have to watch things closely. And then Springfield, Illinois. Champaign, I believe, where is Illinois University? Is that Champaign, I believe? So hopefully, well, the kids are, the students are out, so if this thing's going to come right towards campus, hopefully everybody's out. Look at all, and another thing that we've talked about too is look at this on the front end here. We were talking, if you tuned into our live coverage that we had the other night, you see all this right here? Look at all the lightning strikes. You see how they're all bunched together like that? That's a sign of strengthening. Now, when you start to see a lot of these lightning strikes disappear, then you know that this line of storms is weakening. But that's not weakening. That is a strengthening storm. There it is right there. My goodness. All right, let's do this. Let me pan out a little bit. All right, so there's the big picture right there. All right, that's what's going on. So again, you'll eventually see later this afternoon, you're going to see this tail right here drop in like that. And then this whole area right here gets blasted again. So it's a two-part system for these folks here. And then eventually everything will push east. But by the time it hits the East Coast, this is such a small event here. Matter of fact, let's go over to the outlooks. All right, there's a look at the wind outlook. Man, that's nasty. That is nasty. Now let's go a little bit wider here. All right. So here's a look at the categorical. Now, remember, this is a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being the dark shade of green, not that light shade of green, the darker shade of green. What you see with the lighter shade of green, that just represents the overall general thunderstorm threat. When you start seeing the darker shade of green, then you start moving into a severe weather potential. All right, dark green is isolated. The yellow is scattered. All right, a little more widespread. The orange is enhanced, where we start looking at linear clusters, bowing segments, tornadoes, and then of course that red is something you just don't ever want to see. It doesn't matter where you are, because that usually represents damaging straight line winds, category 1, sometimes category 2 hurricane strength, wedge-shaped tornadoes, EF2s, EF3s, hail, again, we were just talking about it, tennis ball, baseball size. I mean, you don't ever want to see a bullseye like that. But here's a look at the tornado threat. You can see it right there. There's a look at the straight line wind threat. And there's a look at the hail threat. I mean, everything just comes together right there. All right, right around Indianapolis, south of Chicago, just north of St. Louis, although St. Louis is in a heightened alert here too. All right, it's that little bullseye right there. Here's the categorical. Let me see if I can go over to, let's see. Do I not have day 2? There should be day 2 here. Hold on, let me see. All right, there's day 2. Now notice how everything shifts to the east. Oh, you know what? You might not be able to see it. Let me push it that way. Okay, you notice how everything shifts to the east? But what's really, really interesting here, all right, so you see all the craziness they're getting, right? I'm going to draw all right, so you have, let's say, a little curlicue in the atmosphere. Actually, I drew this the wrong way. All right, so you would have like a little area of rotation here in the atmosphere. All right, and that is swinging through, and that's why, all right, that little vorticity max, if you will, that little rotation is what's spawning all this. Okay, it's very warm, it's very humid out there. You got this thing kind of running into that environment, and boom, you suddenly get the fireworks. All right. This though it's not dropping towards Philadelphia. It's actually moving like this. Okay? It's moving off to the northeast. So you notice, if you remember the other day, all right, that area of yellow took up just about all of Pennsylvania. You can see the SPC chipping away at this from west to east. I have to tell you, I'm looking at things right now, and I'm just not impressed right now with Thursday. I mean, there's going to be this boundary coming through, right here, and, I think it's going to be up here, honestly, that has the best chance of seeing severe weather tomorrow. There will, and maybe up there in the Lehigh Valley, potentially, northern New Jersey, just east of the Poconos. It's going to be this area here. Philadelphia, it's isolated. I mean, I know we're still in the yellow, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if tomorrow they drop us down to green, a level 1. And then behind it, you start getting into incredible weather again, which is going to set up it's a great weekend for the Jersey Shore. Get down there, support your local businesses, and, just enjoy some time on the beach. Speaking of the beach, all right, so today is a gorgeous day. I mean, you've got sunshine mixed with clouds, nice sea breeze, temperatures probably top out in the mid-70s right there on the sand. Water's nice and calm for the boat. Well, I don't know what you consider calm. Let's 2 to 3 footers, okay? So maybe a little choppy, but it's not bad. Tomorrow's a rough day. You're not taking the boat out tomorrow. We're looking at 5 to 7, 5 to 8 foot waves. A small craft advisory was already issued. There's a heightened threat for rip currents, as that was now. Today it's moderate. Tomorrow it goes to high. I mean, just stay away from the water altogether tomorrow. Tomorrow's a really rough day because what's happening here is, as that system out here, all right, remember, there's going to be a trailing cold front like this. All right, so on a surface map, you may see something like this. Okay? Oh, I'm getting better with the telestrator here. Look at that. So let's just say that's your cold front, okay? And everything's moving like that. All right? From west to east or southwest to northeast. Out ahead of it, okay? Out ahead of it, your wind speeds and wind field always goes like this. Okay? That's your surface wind ahead of the front. There's your surface wind behind it, right? Because everything moves in a counterclockwise fashion around low pressure. So out ahead of it, south, behind it, north. Okay? Or southeast, northwest, all right? That's what's going on. So the wind speeds really roughing the seas up here. Okay, so again, you're not boating, no bueno tomorrow. Actually, you're not taking the boat out. You're not going in the water tomorrow. It's just way too rough. And remember, what you want to do too is you want to, they have that beach flag warning system. All right, you go to the boardwalk and you look on the beach and you're going to see a different color flag. Maybe it's green, maybe it's yellow, maybe it's red. Remember, the red, I believe it's double red, the beach is closed, or at least the water is closed. When you see purple, I think purple is when there's some kind of wildlife that they're concerned about. But anyway, heed the advice of the beach patrol, all right, and follow the flag warning system, the beach flag warning system, and you'll be okay. And look, please don't ever do this. And unfortunately, I dealt with this all the time in Florida because, folks just always wanted to go into the water. But when the lifeguards are off duty, don't go jumping in the water, okay? Please. Because if you get into trouble, there's nobody there to rescue you. Even on days, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, all right, even on days where the rip current risk is low, you still get them. All right, you can still get them. It's not saying, you will never see anything issued by the Weather Service that says there's no threat completely of rip currents. It'll either go low, moderate, high, or stay out, you know what I mean, or beach closed or whatever. There's never going to be a day where the rip current threat is zero, okay? So even in a low rip current threat day, you can still get them, especially around jetties and piers and things like that. So, what I would just recommend is once the lifeguards are gone, just don't jump in. I know a lot of the surfers, they've got surfboards and everything, and they at least have some kind of floating device, but still, I would never go in the water when the lifeguards aren't there. All right, so this is round number 1. It's round number 2 where we're going to go live again here. That's the one where you're going to get the crazy supercells. All right, that's the one where you're going to start seeing, possible, actually, with some of the tags here on this, I'm surprised we're not seeing. Yeah, there's the considerable tag right there. I'm surprised we're not seeing hook echoes right now, but there's no tornadoes here. You're going to end up seeing this later this evening, and I think I'm going to jump back on. Sorry, I'm doing 2 computers right now. I think I'm going to jump back on around maybe 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, because that's when this line is. Actually, let's go. You know what? There it is. Oh, wow. Hold on. Go back. This is what I wanted to do. Should have thought of this earlier, right? Instead of me verbally telling you this, how about I visually show you this? Okay, so this is what is going on now. All right, see that? That's round number 1. This is right. What time is it right now? It is 10:30. This is going to go on round number 1 at least through midday. And watch this. See it right there? Right there. This whole line, that whole tail that I was drawing earlier, that I drew earlier, the whole thing lights up with supercells. So in other words, the supercells are here, there's another one here. I mean, you can clearly see them. They're all over the place. See them? Here's one here. Here's one here. I mean, every one of these. Here's one here. There's another one here. Right here. I mean, they're all over. They're the entire line. Up here towards Kankakee, you see these here? They're all supercells. There could even be one near Chicago up here. All right, so it would not surprise me if we get into a situation here where, I don't know, maybe you got 5 or 6 tornado warnings all up at the same time. All right, later this afternoon. All right, it would not surprise me at all. So again, the target area is going to be Kankakee is a suburb of the Chicago television market. It's the name of the county and also the name of a town. From Kankakee County, south and west and east. All right, let's go over to the outlooks again. Okay, so, all right, now if I remember, this is day 1. Let me go back to day 1. Wait, go back to day 1. There it is. All right, so there it is. Okay, Purdue University. You're in a bad spot today. If you got summer classes or you're going to be there, you're in an area that's going to have to stay weather aware. Indianapolis, home of the Colts, same thing. Champaign, I believe. I just can't remember if is Champaign. Somebody help me out. Is Champaign where Illinois is? The University of Illinois. What town is the unit? All right. It is Champaign. Okay, so both Purdue University and Illinois University are right there, ground zero. All right, you're right in the bullseye. Peoria, Lincoln, Springfield, Charleston. Now, again, the good news is, like I said earlier, it's not like the Philadelphia area where you've just got population bases everywhere. I used to live out here. I used to work out here for 2.5 years. And when I tell you, once you get out of the major cities, there's nothing. There's a lot of land out here, a ton. So the good news is, if we do get this kind of weather, hopefully, these big tornadoes are hitting farm fields, or, maybe they just damage an old outhouse or a barn or something like that, as opposed to a city, or a street or an entire town. So that's what we're hoping. All right. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's just show you some of the temperatures real quick, okay? And I'm gonna. Wow, are we at 76 already? Okay. So what we have going on here is temperatures are going to be warmer today. Yesterday was an incredible day, right? Oh my gosh. What an incredible day yesterday. I took Paigey to the playground for a little bit, and it was actually chilly. Just gorgeous stuff out there. Today's not bad, but you don't feel it's not crisp and cool like it was yesterday. The humidity has come up a little bit. Here's a look at the current dew points. All right, you see that right there? All right, so you can see where we've got a lot of low 60s out there now, whereas yesterday they were in the 40s. Okay, so that's the difference. The moisture content in the atmosphere's come up a little bit. Now, it's not bad today. We'll call it slightly to moderately humid. Certainly not bad at all. Certainly easy to handle for mid-June standards, right? But here's what's going to end up happening, okay? Let me fast forward this for you. See this? Here it comes. Thursday, we start seeing these numbers all the way up into the upper 60s, low 70s. See that? Look at that little pocket there. And also, what is interesting, too, is you see this little area of dark green where the dew points are in the mid-70s there. It's coastal counties, Ocean, Atlantic, Cape May, Southeast Burlington, Cumberland, Delaware Bay area. Very, very muggy stuff tomorrow afternoon. Central and southern Delaware, the Chesapeake Bay, Delmarva, Salisbury, Ocean City, Maryland, Dewey Beach. Those areas, you can see that dark shade of green, that big area of very moist air, very uncomfortable air. That also happens to be the area that has the best chance of running into severe weather tomorrow, okay? So right now, I think the main hit today is north. All right, everybody has an equal chance of running into some showers and thunderstorms. It is spotty today, okay? But the greatest chance tomorrow is probably going to end up being south and east, okay, where this big plume of moisture is. All right, and then eventually the front will come through, and you can see, bang, here it comes. Woo! Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at that on Friday. Dew points back down into the 40s. Here's Saturday. Are you kidding me? Make those beach plans now. Look at the dew points area-wide on Saturday. What's Saturday? June 18, 19, June 20th? And we got dew point. Look at northern New Jersey. Darn near upper 30s. I mean, just unbelievable. Let's see what the temperatures are going to be at that point. All right, low 80s. But let's see. What I want to see is, let's go back. I want to see Saturday morning. 11. All right, so we bottom out right here. Low to mid 60s Saturday morning. All right, let's go to Sunday morning. Beep. Look at the 50s in the Poconos in northern New Jersey. You know what? Let's do it this way. This way is easier. All right. We'll start over. Let's do... All right. These are low temperatures. Here's Friday morning. Look at Saturday morning. Oh, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Look at the upper 50s in the Lehigh Valley. 53 in the Poconos. If you're going up to the Poconos, they got a really nice water park. And I think it's at... The name escapes me, but I think it's in Mount Pocono. Look where you're starting out Saturday morning. 53 degrees up there in Mount Pocono. Wow. All right, there's Sunday morning. Now we're potentially as low as 60, even as far south as Philadelphia. Look at the Pine Barrens, upper 50s, low 60s. Monday morning, Tuesday, the mornings, and this is the difference. This is what Lori and I would have killed for down there in Florida, because you got no break even in the morning. Like up here, and now that I've experienced this firsthand, I can talk to you about this intelligently, right? Now that I've seen this, there's just no comparison here, because the good thing about this part of the country is you do get that break in the morning. And then, like, even if you're in the middle of a heat wave, okay, you do get the break in the morning. All right, you get down in Florida, there is no break. All right, you're starting out. The morning lows are in the upper 70s, low 80s. The morning lows are around 80, 81, 82. The morning low dew points are in the mid to upper 70s. There's no break. Here, you get the temperatures cooling. There's a break. Let's look at the high temperatures now. So this is tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow's a hot and humid day. But then the front comes in. There's Friday. Remember, Friday, there's no humidity. Low 80s. Saturday, low 80s. Sunday, low 80s. Monday, low 80s. Tuesday, low 80s. Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, it's just great stuff. It's just great stuff. We can look at this another way, too. Let me see if I can find it. There should be... Let's go over the... There should be a anomaly. Hi, babe. Did you go for your run?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
The air is so much easier to breathe.
You want to tell everybody this?
No.
Actually, I was just telling them now. Come on, pit crew, come tell
The
them.
air is easier to breathe, but they have hills here.
Oh, so it is flat down there. That's true.
Yeah.
So my wife says the air. She just went for a nice run. How far did you go? 32 miles? So she said that it's a lot easier to breathe when you're running up here, which we all knew that. It's just a little hilly. And Florida is very flat. I know there's an area, I think it's on the Panhandle. I never knew this until I looked it up. There is a part of Florida with an elevation of like 300 feet. I think it's near Tallahassee. So that really, or maybe it's like 270 feet. It's something like that. But that really surprised me, because Florida is known as a very flat state. And 90% of it is, but then you get closer to Georgia, and all of a sudden you do climb a little bit in elevation. So, but anyway, this is what I wanted to show you guys. See the departures? Look at that, that's Friday. There's Saturday. Oh gosh, Friday morning and Saturday morning are going to be so nice. There's Sunday. All right, so in other words, what this is showing you is temperatures are pretty much right where they're supposed to be. Over the next several, look, we're taking tomorrow out of the equation, all right? Tomorrow's hot, tomorrow's humid. But otherwise, temperatures in the week ahead are right where they're supposed to be. Maybe 2 or 3 degrees cooler than average. Maybe you get a day that's 2 or 3 degrees warmer than average. But there's no huge cool downs, and there's no huge warm ups. It looks really, really good. Okay? All right, now, that's going to do it for me right now. But I'm kind of running into this situation again where I have to remember how to turn everything off. So, got to remember how to do this. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to hit some buttons. I don't know what's about to happen here, okay? But I'm going to hit some buttons, and I'm going to come back on later this afternoon, okay? And I'm going to show you that wild